Hey Brandi, how are you? It's Andrea. Sorry it's taken me so long to get to your reading. I came down with the flu from work and then went into the hospital and ended up getting the other version of the flu from there. So it's been a crazy week and a half. I have done a lot of meditation on you. And I really kind of wish you lived a lot closer than you do, because I think you and I have a lot in common. So from what I'm picking up, you are a very positive person, meaning you have a very good outlook on life. You tend to shy away from negative thinking. People who are pessimistic don't really interest you. But at the same time, you're like me. You just call the bullshit how it is. You don't appreciate it, you don't have any tolerance for it, and you don't have any problem calling a person out if they're giving you a line of crap. That's something I truly appreciate, because if there's one thing I can't stand, being an empath is somebody that lies. And I don't have a filter on my mouth when somebody does it, and I will just call them out on it, and I make my husband mad, which is a whole other story. Your thoughts and feelings, like the way you view the world, is well ahead of your time and your generation. I don't really know how that manifests for you, but I can tell you that you don't think small. So you think big projects, big world views. So you're not small-minded, I think is what I'm getting at. Some people that I read for tend to have old-fashioned values or view things the way their parents taught them, and you are open to receiving information, analyzing it, and making your own truth out of it, which is, again, ahead of your generation. You were born in '89, and your generation just tends to take the opposite of those who are old of them, and it's more sometimes like they do so because they want to rebel and not necessarily because they actually believe the values. You, on the other hand, you pick apart the truth, you analyze it, and you make your own truth out of it. So if somebody asks you if you believe in something, you have substantiation and thoughts and reasons, whereas another person who might be your same age might just be able to say, well, because it's the right thing to do, or because my parents told me, or my parents were wrong, or, it just, you have more substantiation to why you choose to believe things you choose to believe. You are an intense and passionate person. You are a water sign. You will not necessarily be willing to share your emotions with others. And once you do, which I'm going to assume you've done with your husband, that bond is for life. You don't meet flighty people. You're not one for acquaintances as much as you are one for very, I keep using the word substantiative, but that's what I think of, and that's what pops in my head when I think of you. Valued friendships, things that have actual value to you. You're not unfriendly, so if you meet somebody on the street, you'd be more than happy to be kind to them, but at the same time, you're not going to share your innermost thoughts, secrets, and desires. You will sit back and you will listen to people who talk, and you might interpret what they say as either true or false or somewhere in between, but you might not always share that information with them. You're going to keep that close to your chest. You seek knowledge, which I thought was awesome. I mean, most of what I read about you was amazing, because it's very similar to myself. Am I being narcissistic and saying I'm amazing? I don't know. But I like that you seek truth. You don't just accept things because somebody tells you that. You love passionately, and you are an amazing partner. I cannot see a situation where you would ever stray from your husband. You are a fierce parent. I feel like you have kids. You've never told me that you have. If you haven't, you will. That's something, like, you are a nurturer. You are a homebody. In fact, I see more than one child, so two, yeah. I'm for sure seeing two and maybe a third. One of the other things that I loved about when I was, meditating over you, and I had to take all these notes, was that you do not, you are not fooled by disingenuous people. So, like myself, when somebody tries to lie to you, you can see true to what is actually real and what is not. Um, Now, what I infer is that you probably have some, I'll call it mystical, everybody calls it something different, and I hate offending people. You have some gifts of your own, definitely intuition is there. At least the metaphysical seems to interest you greatly, and I inferred that not even from you asking me to do this, but from just you. But I think you have some of your own gifts yourself. I'm not so certain that you choose to exercise them and grow them, but you do seem to have them innately, which allows you to see people who don't necessarily want to tell you the truth. Funny, because that's the same way I am. The difference between you and I is that I don't have a filter and I just call them out. You'll hold the truth to your chest, and at that point in time, that makes you smarter, actually, because you know when to play the card, as it were. My dad taught me chess when I was young, and unfortunately I'm always like gung-ho, put it all out there, and I never learned the tactic that you have the capability of, which is hold back and play strategically. So without trying to make it sound like you're in a war, you do use knowledge strategically. Like I said, you don't like bullshit. You like people who tell it how it is, but you are a very sympathetic person. So when somebody comes to you with a genuine problem, you will have a tendency to take that on. And that is something, again, you and I share as well, is if somebody comes to you genuinely, hey, I've got a problem with money, I'm having a problem with my boyfriend, you're a fixer, you want to make it better for them. And sometimes you have to learn to step back and say, this is not my problem, I will offer advice, I will do what I can, but you can have the tendency to take it on. You are extremely career oriented. Your career means a heck of a lot to you. Now, again, one of the things that I found fascinating with you is that you have like two sides to your personality. Scorpios in general are very close to the chest, they don't share a lot. But on the other hand, you're very bubbly and outgoing and optimistic too. You're persistent. Like when you make a goal in life, now it doesn't matter what that is. It could be you make a goal to get the kids' room cleaned, or you could make a goal to go out in your job, whatever that happens to be, and do amazing on your review. You set your goal, you get your goal done. Like nothing gets in your way. You are very persistent. So with all of that said, I'm going to lay down some cards for you. And these cards keep pulling upside down, even though I don't want to lay upside down. So there we go, that's better. It was really fun, just kind of meditating on you and going, oh my gosh, I wish you lived closer. Although I am in Cincinnati a lot because I love Jack Casino. So I'm usually out there once a month, if not once every other month or so. So let's see what we got here. Well, that's definitely going into what I was trying to tell you a little bit ago. You have a tendency to be a bit of a daydreamer. Yes, you have goals. Yes, you can be strategic. But boy, you love your mind to wander. But here's the thing about it. When your mind wanders, your intuition comes into play. So it's almost like you aren't going to acknowledge your gifts on a subconscious level. So when you start daydreaming, your intuition kicks in overdrive, and you have the capability of doing whatever it is you want to do because you actually listen to your intuition, unlike a lot of people. So that's really pretty darn amazing. You definitely have some romance in you, which isn't surprising given you're a Scorpio again. You're good at balancing. I'm impressed. You are amazing at balancing both your analytical side and your emotional side. So you can bring either out in a given situation and you know how to use it. That is not a gift a lot of people have. And you got both the Knight and the King of Cups. The Cups are your emotional suit. They deal with feelings and emotions, and you have the king and the knight on either side of the temperance card, and the temperance card is all about balance. So that tells me that you are very well aware of how to balance your emotions, and so that is extremely impressive. Now these are your future cards over here. Wow, Brandi, seriously cool. So I do see some sacrifice having to come into the future. So, and I feel like it's surrounding work. I feel like whatever project you're working on at work, or whatever goal maybe you want to change careers, maybe you want to take a step forward in your career path, I feel like you're advancing in some capacity, and you have the capability of doing that, and you're going to be completely successful. But it will take sacrifice. Maybe, I'm not really seeing what the sacrifice could be. It's very individual. Maybe that's going to have to be taking more time. In fact, I would almost guarantee it's just going to be a matter of sacrificing time away from the family in order to achieve your goal. That's what they're telling me. But it will be a sacrifice. But this goal is very, very important to you, and you will achieve it. I can't tell if it's a new job or just an advancement, but I do see you having every tool to do it, you being the most capable, using your gifts. You've got the Ten of Pentacles, which indicates success. The only thing I see in that little area is that you're going to have to make a sacrifice, and I'm kind of feeling like it's just, some home life sacrifice. Let's see what else we got here. You get a lot of cups, which doesn't surprise me because you're, like I said, you're a water sign. You tend to sometimes be dissatisfied. You can have met a goal in your life, because this is all about you, and you can look at it and say, this isn't enough. And so, yeah. I really feel like your personality is always looking out to try to achieve the next thing. And that's not a bad thing. But you have to be careful to be happy where you're at as well. So that's what the Page of Cups. See, we've got the Knight, the King of Cups, and now we get the Page of Cups. You have to be careful to stop and smell the roses. Be content with the things that you have. I see you wanting more. I see you having what you achieved in front of you, but going, okay, but I want something more now. This is great, but I want something more. And what the cards are telling me is you need to be very careful that you show appreciation for the gifts that the angels and guides are giving you, and then, formulating a plan to move forward, because you have the capability of achieving whatever you want. But you need to show gratitude. It's not even about just necessarily the gratitude, just to take a breath where you're at before you start moving to the next thing. Okay, so there's been some stress here. I can definitely see some stress. You've got the Knight of Swords and the Knight. So what I'm kind of feeling is that some people around you, because the Three of Pentacles indicates some kind of a creative endeavor that you got into. It could be a hobby, but I'm thinking, again, more maybe people that you work with, was handled poorly. The Knight of Swords is about knowledge, but he's about knowledge that you didn't work for it. So it's almost more like it's gossip than it is truth. And I feel like some people at work might have come to you with some information that wasn't necessarily all true, and it really bothered you, caused you some stress and anxiety. You tend to be kind of a worrier anyway, and the thing that I don't like about this necessary combination is that I feel like they had a half-truth, and they gave you a half-truth. Maybe it was a boss. This would be so much easier if I could just talk to you and we could, dialogue as to what the situation was. But maybe it was a boss that came to you and heard that maybe there was going to be a layoff, or maybe it was a coworker that heard somebody was getting fired. Whatever the information was that this person at work came to you with, it wasn't, I don't want to say it wasn't true, but it wasn't complete. That's the word for it. It wasn't complete. So they didn't bother to look into whether the information was true before they passed it along, and it caused you a lot of heartache, a lot of stress. This is in present day, so I kind of feel like I lay left or right, just so you know. This is going on either in the last 3 months or the next 3 months, so that's generally my present. But I would be cautious if it has not happened yet, paying too much mind to what people tell you at work, especially in a negative context. If they tell you something, be sure to do what you always do, which is to research it, look into it, find out whether or not if it bears any truth. I think you're going to find that it might bear some truth, but not all. The Knight of Swords usually just rushes into things, and he doesn't think, he doesn't take time to plan, which tells me that the people giving you this information aren't taking time to learn all of the information. So oh, go girl. Okay. We have the Knight of Pentacles. The Knight of Pentacles is a messenger. Again, I really feel like you're going to be getting an offer to train or learn something new, which is kind of interesting that it follows right beneath where I told you were going to be getting a new opportunity, which is called sacrifice. That's interesting. It would fall right there, because I really feel like you're going to be getting a new opportunity to train, and it's going to fulfill you emotionally. It's like you want to learn something, you want to know something, and you'll have that opportunity to. I really feel like it's going to be coming. This is my training card, this is my fulfillment card, and he's usually my messenger. But again, this is in the future, so I'm thinking between three months and a year, that should be coming about. That's pretty cool. Okay, Brandi, we're talking now more about your career and money. I see a lot of change with it. The Death card generally means change. This would have been, like I said, in the past, so I'm looking 3 months back. It could be as long as a year, maybe even a little bit more. I've read back past 2 years before. And you did a lot of work, but you also made a lot of risks. And now I don't feel like they were financial risks insofar as gambling. I don't feel like they were financial risks insofar as the stock market sort I was looking for. I feel like this was more of a risk, like a job change. You decided you wanted to change, and it was risky, and I think that it set you back just a smidge initially. I don't see that this is necessarily a bad choice, but you did, because that's a Nine of Wands, you did have to work a little bit harder to get where you wanted to go, to get caught up again. I'm sorry, I am very anal when it comes to these things being like set right. So let me think here. I feel like you're a very generous person, but I think I said that in the beginning too when I was meditating on you. You have the King of Wands. The King... I feel like this is just... I don't know how to word it, but just you. You are both the King of Wands and the Queen of Cups. You are almost a perfect balance, with the Wheel of Fortune in the middle, of being both analytical and emotional. You can look at a situation, you can analyze it, you can strategically decide what is the best course to move forward. But you can also use your heart and your intuition, and you can use those instincts to subvert problems. So I feel like this is just you, a perfect balance of knowledge, intuition, and action. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that that you're perfect, because none of us are. You still make steps in the wrong direction, like we all do. But you, like I said earlier, you are light years ahead of where people your age are. Frankly, you're light years ahead of where a lot of people are, no matter what their age. Because a lot of times when I'm doing readings, I can see people completely being analytical, and I can see people being completely emotional. And you are rounded, and that is very helpful to you in both your personal life and your professional life. That's why you succeed so well. That is also why you have the ability to get people to do what you want. You're not reading upside down today. That's better. 2 completion cards, Brandi. 2 completion cards. You have busted your butt at your job. Again, this is all flowing about your job, which I find completely fascinating. I'm not sure if that's just where your energy is at, that's where your focus is at, but this is all about your job. The 8 of Cups usually indicates to me that you're not satisfied with something and you plan to walk away from it. But you are still having anxiety, doubt, about whether or not you should do that, because you have worked long and hard at what you have achieved so far. But as the cards indicate above, you making this change is going to be completely successful. I also see, because you've got 2 10s, 10s are the end of a cycle. In numerology, 1 through 10, same as anything else, 10s are the end. It means it's time for you to move on. So asking my opinion, which you're not doing, if you are looking at making a change career-wise, I would definitely recommend to go with it. This card indicates to me that you tend to be the nurturer. You have been the nurturer. You also are the one who looks at situations and you decide what you feel is right and wrong. I feel like this is pertaining to a specific situation, dealing with a relationship, but I don't feel like this is a relationship at work. I feel like this is more a relationship in love. That was in past. So I'm going to come back to that because I really want to clarify this. Let me see what I got here. No, I don't. Well, let's do this. Yeah, I'm making a mess. I don't like messes. Okay, let's see what we got. Because this is showing me that it doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic relationship, but it could be a friendship. 2 of Cups can absolutely be a friendship, despite what it's showing on there. Let's see what we got here. See, both of this Justice card and the Empress card are you. You are the one that will tell people what you think, but you're also the one that will nurture them. But this has to do with a specific relationship. I'm very, very, very curious what it is. Okay, this is definitely, I don't think this is a romantic relationship. This is going to be more of, it's not business. I don't feel like it's work. It might have had to do with, the page of Michael is telling me that you need to review contracts or documents thoroughly. So I feel like with the Justice card here, you need to be very, very careful. Well, this is also in the past. So I'm feeling like you've had some struggles with maybe with some school paperwork, work paperwork, maybe a review. I don't feel like it's work. Maybe you guys bought a house and there was problems with or maybe an apartment lease. There's some paperwork that you had to kind of put your foot down on and get straightened out. Okay, that's what the page of Michael is telling me in this situation. This is not your husband. This is not a work relationship. This is, it's also in the past, but this is something to do with some paperwork that you had problems with. And it looks like it worked out fine in your favor because I'm seeing growth and development with the Empress, but at the same time I'm seeing you had to do some work. I'm not necessarily seeing that you had to get legally strong with it. Like, I don't see that you had to file suit, but you had to do some work with it. Let's see what else we got here. Gosh, Brandi. Now see, this is your husband. This is awesome. You have a very happy marriage. You are very generous with each other. You have the Ten of Cups. The Ten of Cups is everything that, and the Lovers back to back. You guys are meant to be together, and you have a very healthy relationship. It's beautiful. You're very generous in giving. You communicate well. This is present tense. This is great. Brandi. Okay. What do we got going on here? Okay, so I'm going to tell you what I'm seeing, and I don't think it's anything I haven't told you already. You have the capacity with this new position that I'm seeing coming in for you to do fabulous things. This is something that's really going to be great for you. But what I caution you on is making sure that you balance. That's what these two cards are. You need to balance your work life and your home life. If you do not do that, you will have heartache. You're going to cause trouble for yourself. The Four of Wands is happy home. The Six of Cups is, being playful and fun and enjoying home. But if you don't keep balanced with your work and home, you're going to find yourself in some heartache. This is, again, in the past. This one's kind of your foundation. I would say, again, it's difficult not dialoguing with you, but I would say you had to overcome some crap when you were a kid. You've always had the inspiration to want to be better, to want to do better, and you have, I can see with the Six of Swords, you have pulled yourself out of whatever it was you went through. But you did, for a time, let whatever it was that happened hold you down for a bit. It was kind of, that's what the devil indicates. He's got a hold of you, and you let him, you let him make your choices out of either fear, control, or whatever it happens to be. It's different for each person. But I feel like you were letting whatever happened to you as a child control you for a while. But it also, because this is in the past, I don't feel like this is happening now. I feel like because you also got the Six of Swords that you are now overcoming that. I think that there are times that you struggle with people not seeing things the way that you do. And because this combination section is about people's values, and the Five of Wands indicates conflict. And so I feel like there are times people come to you with ideas that are probably, I've gotten in trouble for using the word before, so if it offends you, I apologize, but with ignorant ideas and thoughts. They come to you with unsubstantiated facts and then want you to believe them. I just feel like you get frustrated with people who don't think the way that you do sometimes. It's kind of like if you were Albert Einstein and you created electricity and the guy next door continues to want to use a torch. You don't have the time of day for somebody who wants to regress, because you are the type of person that wants to progress. So people who come to you with ideas that aren't progressive or substantiated or don't align with your values, you struggle with those people, especially with your temperament of wanting to call it how you see it, because unlike me, you're not a bull in a china shop, but you still have those feelings there where you're like, get away from me, I know you're not true, or get away from me, I don't have the time for your crap, you know. Your truth may be your truth, but it's not my truth. So I just see that you getting frustrated with those type of people. So this little combination section represents the things that can be your weaknesses. One of them I can see off the bat, which I could have told you without even laying your cards down, is the fact that you don't like to relax. And when you set your mind on a goal, you are the road runner. You want to get there. You don't want anybody to stop you. You want to get there. The Emperor I can see being an obstacle for you too, because the Emperor represents tradition. He represents old-fashioned thinking. He's the guy that says the man should be the head of the household, the wife should stay at home in an apron pregnant with 2.5 kids, and she should make cornbread every night. And people like you are looking at that going, WTF, really? So you struggle with people who aren't progressive in thought, which I think we just kind of substantiated a minute ago. I like that word tonight for some reason. The Five of Cups usually indicates spilled milk. It means you're dissatisfied, and I can kind of see that playing into this particular. Well, I can kind of see it playing into you. You have to be cautious that you don't get dissatisfied with the things that you've achieved. I know I have a bad habit of kind of blowing over my achievements in life and saying, okay, I need to do this, this, and this. Well, doing A, B, and C, and D is great, but let's breathe and say, hey, I'm great for doing X, Y, Z. Right? I mean, you don't want to overlook what you accomplished. So, let me see if I can get an overall message for you before I cut you off. I have no idea what time it is. I just read and talk. Alright, I know I shuffled and I know I cut them, but we're going to let the angels tell us what they want us to know. And I always cut the same way. The Magician. You had the Magician already, and I love it when the cards repeat themselves. You have the capability of achieving whatever you want to do. Not everybody can say that. My biggest caution to you in doing this reading and in kind of meditating on you would be to make sure you find balance between achieving your goals and your family. Make sure that you stop to appreciate your accomplishments, to thank your guides and spirits. you're in a beautiful spot. I'm really excited to hear what this career opportunity is. I mean, this is, the cards don't usually flow so well, and this has completely been about your career. So I'm really, really curious if you've got something coming up. If you don't, I'm telling you, you will. Hope this has been helpful to you. Again, very, very sorry that it took me so long to get this out to you. I'm going to try to get a hold of you and find out an email address so I can get this over to you, girl. I'll talk to you soon. Have fun on the game. Bye.